Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another video. Today we're talking about Mythic Booster and a lot of the cards being reprinted that I just don't really think needed to be reprinted. These card slots could have probably just been better utilized as other reprints. But with that being said though, I do want to say Mythic Booster is an absolutely incredible product. Kudos to Bandai for just taking this set to reprint a lot of the really sought after and hard to get cards that players want. And this is going to obviously make those cards a lot cheaper, or at least have cheaper alternative versions of the cards that players will be able to get, which is awesome. I do also want to say that as I was combing through the card list for this video, that there weren't really that many bad slots for reprints, at least as far as I thought there were at first glance. What I really realized is that this is just the theme of Mythic Booster is just to reprint promos, which in a lot of ways is really good, because historically in Dragon Ball Super, promos have been the hardest cards to get. But again, there are a handful of cards we'll talk about today that probably could have been better utilized as other reprint slots. But anyways, guys, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe, hit that bell so you never miss a video. And if you guys want to help support the channel, there are many ways to do so down in the description. But today, if you guys want to buy any custom sleeves, playmats, any TCG accessories like that, even foil playmats, check out the link in the description to yourplaymat.com. That link will get you 10% off your order. They make absolutely incredible custom card products, guys. I love my Crossworld art sleeves. They're art sleeves that don't peel, so I don't have to double sleeve them, which means I don't have to shuffle double sleeve cards, which I hate doing. So for me, it's absolutely incredible. Again, 10% off with the link in the description. Let's get into the first card. Alright, first card we have is Ss4 Vegeta, Peak of Primitive Power. Now, there are two SCRs being reprinted in Mythic Booster, obviously. If you guys watched my Mythic Booster video from last week, you guys would see that I started the video with Cell Xeno, and that's a really great SCR reprint. Ss4 Vegeta, not so much. On one hand, I get it, because set 8 is a harder to obtain set, but Ss4 Vegeta's never really fetched a super high price. It's sitting at about $130, $140 right now, which as far as SCRs go is on the lower end, to be honest. And that's probably because this card's never really been super competitively viable. Like, there have been a handful of meta blue-green decks, and even the current one, Android 21, that managed to top US Nationals, doesn't play this SCR, just plays Baby Hatch, which any blue-green deck that plays a blue leader base is probably going to play Baby Hatchiyak. Now that leads me to say that as far as the other reprint slot for an SCR goes, I think Baby Hatch would have been a pretty good contender in place of Ss4 Vegeta. I will say though, this Ss4 Vegeta art does look really nice, especially compared to the OG artwork, because that artwork's a little bit awkward, where you have the design of like Vegeta being very small on the card art with the big great ape face, which in some aspects I think looks cool, but Vegeta again is way too small in that original artwork. So I do really like this artwork as a reprint alt art, but as far as like utilizing the slot to reprint SCR, Baby Hatch probably would have been a better one. Space Time Unraveler is maybe a bit too young to consider reprinting, but that could have also been a pretty decent one. As far as that goes, maybe Awakened Power, but I don't think a lot of people really expect them to reprint Awakened Power. That might just go down as like the Black Lotus of Dragon Ball Super, to be honest, where it's just a really hard card to get. Might never be meta relevant again, but at least it's gonna, you know, be the collector retaining value type of card that it is now. So time will tell on that one anyway. Then we have Kefla, Everlasting Light. This has got to be in my opinion, quite possibly the worst reprint of the set, just because of how useless this card is. Like, it came out in a really weird strand of promos, where I think it also came out with the Surge Leaders, if I'm not mistaken, and you had to play in like these really like one-off local events to get them. So they are technically a hard slew of promos to get, but this card's so bad. The only time I ever saw this card see any play was as a proxy for SS2 Kefla from set 15. Like, this card's just that bad. Just doesn't really do anything as far as an effect goes. End of turn, restand it. You can save it from being destroyed in a really obscure way. It's just not very good at all. Artwork's really nice, but yeah, definitely did not need to be reprinted in the slightest. And then same thing kind of goes for the Kefla Surge Leader, although it does make sense as a reprint because one, it's a leader that doesn't come foil, and two, they're also reprinting the red-green Broly leader, so it kind of makes sense to reprint the foil, not foil in terms of shiny, but foil in terms of opposite of that leader, because they came out in the same promo set. But yeah, this leader it has to be the worst Surge leader out there. So the fact that we're printing this, I think for collectors purposes is pretty nice, because again, that leader doesn't come foil, so having a foil alternative to it is pretty nice. But as far as like uselessness goes, this one's got to be up there with the Kefla we just talked about. So next up we have Final Spirit Cannon, which is actually a pretty funny reprint, all things considered. This would have actually been a really good reprint if Mecha Frieza wasn't a banned leader, but it is. So this card is probably unplayable for the foreseeable future, and it probably will be unplayable as long as we don't get any more leaders or archetypes that that cheat on extra card costs. Like, paying 2 to tap 1 card in some circumstances can be okay, but it'll probably never be a main deck staple like it was in Mecha Frieza. Now, with Mecha Frieza being a leader and Final Spirit Cannon being played as a 1 to 2 of in that deck, the foil versions of Final Spirit Cannon were pretty expensive because it was a draft box card, and even though it was a draft box like common or uncommon, foil versions of those cards were very expensive because draft boxes were relatively hard to get for a long time. So I see this as a reprint in that scenario where, again, Mecha is a legal leader, but that's just not the case now, so that makes Final Spirit Cannon a very, very strange reprint. It does look pretty nice, but besides that, it's probably just gonna go in your binder and almost never see play again. One thing I'm thinking about, though, is that, like, if you're playing Blue Yellow Soul Striker, maybe you can use this because you can you know, pay 2 for it and at least get 1 energy back as a mono blue. That's somewhat interesting, but again, I just really don't think this is going to be playable like ever again, as long as we don't get a leader that cheats on extra card costs. Then we have Glory Obsessed Prince of Destruction Vegeta. Again, another very weird reprint. It is an older promo that may be difficult to get, but I think this card is just so far beyond power creep that it'll probably never see play again. Like, there's a very, very odd circumstance where there may be some like really pesky 1-drop that you really need to remove, but nowadays in red you can find way better cards that you know, minus power, ignoring barrier, stuff like that, or even like the Sin Shenron Unison lets all your red cards attack active modes. That could be a better answer. I will say, though, the artwork on this is absolutely incredible, so A+ on the artwork side of things, but as far as like a useful reprint goes, not so much, unfortunately. Then we have Ginyu the Reliable Captain. Very, very old tournament pack promo, which those are, again, pretty hard to get, but none of those are fetching the price they used to fetch. Like, the SS2 Gohan from back then used to be $100 a copy when it was more meta relevant. Nowadays, it's super, super inexpensive, and this is a promo that is probably not really going to be super useful, but I can actually see it being useful if they decide to really heavily support old school yellow Ginyu stuff. So if and maybe when that happens, this could be considered a good reprint, kind of like in hindsight, but as of right now, this is a pretty odd one for me, in my opinion. I'm especially surprised they didn't reprint the SS2 Gohan, because that's been the only one to historically fetch really high prices, even though nowadays it's not really much of a sought after card at all. Then we have Android 18 Full of Rage. So again, A+ in the artwork, really like it. It is a very nice card, but this is, again, just another weird one because this is a tournament pack promo. So again, a promo, and the theme of this has been reprinting promos, but it's a very inexpensive one, especially for the non-foil version. Even the foil version I don't think has been very expensive since this card released, where TPs are generally very expensive on release because they're kind of just like hyped and hard to get. But as time goes on, if the card becomes or is known to be unplayable, it's usually not going to sit at a very high price tag unless it's super rare and like highly collectible. But again, really nice artwork, so can't complain about that. Topo Righteous Aid, probably a card that just didn't really need another reprint. I kind of like this art, although my favorite art for the card is definitely the anniversary box artwork. That one's really nice. But as far as like this reprint goes, the Ultimate Deck Toe reprint goes, and anniversary box reprint goes, this card just probably didn't need it. Again, looks pretty cool, looks pretty nice, looks like he's charging up into his God Destruction form, which is neat. But yeah, a card that probably didn't need another reprint. This could have maybe gone to some sort of other floodgate, but Robotic Riposte is probably a bit too new to reprint. Maybe Dormant, even though that has a couple reprints now. So yeah, this could have probably been a better utilized slot for another defensive type of card that people can't really get their hands on. And then finally, we have S2 Trunks Heroic Prospect, which you might find weird because I talked about it as one of my top 10 reprints, and really that was just a personal one for me because I really like this artwork. But again, a card that's been reprinted so often as SS2 Trunks Heroic Prospect probably just didn't really need another reprint at this point. So that's probably why this could have been used as a better slot elsewhere. But anyways, I do want to drive the point home again that I think Mythic Booster is a really great reprint set. A really great set in general, to be honest, because of all the reprints. But anyways, let me know in the comments below what Mythic Booster cards are you excited about, which ones do you not really care for. Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time.